I think as probably a young wife, when you first get married, you think about your home, you want to make it the best it can be for you and your husband, for your kids. You want to make it enjoyable. And I think our mind wanders like, how can we do that? Is there a secret key? Is there a secret formula?
Leah and I have been married for 29 years. We have 6 kids. 4 of them are now out of our house. They're married. We have 2 still living at home. And this is something that we've worked on for many years. We spend money to make our home more attractive to those driving by. We make changes to our home to make it more valuable to those that maybe they're interested in buying it. When is the last time that we spent money or we've made changes in our home for those that we love the most, for us, for our family, to make home the place to be? 3 thoughts on how to make your home more enjoyable. Number 1, make your home peaceful. Make it peaceful.
It definitely starts with the mom and dad. We're the leaders of the home, and if we can't get along, how do we expect our kids to get along? So I definitely think it starts off with the husband and wife being peaceful, talking kindly, treating each other respectfully. Even if we disagree on something, there's always a right way to handle it. And that is how we show our children how to be respectful.
There is great security in the heart of a child when mom and dad get along. And there is great insecurity in the heart of a child when mom and dad are fighting, when there's not peace with us. I think of the statement Abraham Lincoln said, the best thing that a father can do for his children is love their mother. And for our kids to see that, for them to feel that peace within the home. Now we're going to talk about strategies, in a few minutes. But to be honest, if you can only do one of these things, make your home peaceful. Make it peaceful. Because you can have all these other things to make your home an enjoyable place, but all those things without peace, home is not going to be a good place, an enjoyable place to be. So again, number 1, make home peaceful. My wife said it in how you talk to one another. Don't yell at your wife. Don't yell at your children. Don't yell in anger in your home.
I can remember as a little girl, actually I was probably around junior high, I can remember my mom and my older sister disagreeing about something, but they did raise their voices. Not that they were yelling, but you could tell they were disagreeing. And I can remember coming down my hallway and yelling at them, telling them to stop it, because it caused such an upset inside of me that I've never heard yelling in my house or people disagree like that we don't know how that's going to affect our children when they hear disagreement, when they hear arguing. We don't know what that's going to stir up, but I know it did bring up insecurity within me.
For just a moment, let's talk about discipline then in the home. Sometimes we try to discipline as a mom or a dad with our demeanor. And you know what? I would strongly recommend that you don't do that. Don't discipline with your demeanor. If you try to be, with the ugly face and maybe again raising your voice, I'm afraid I know what we're trying to accomplish, but I'm afraid we end up just looking like a grump, looking like a grouch. We're not effective in our discipline when you try to discipline with your demeanor.
I think us moms are very good about that. I think we like to make the ugly face at our kid or give him the look. And my husband always say, don't make yourself look so ugly when you're trying to discipline the child. And so that's something I've really had to work on, is not disciplining with my demeanor.
Have a few simple but consistent rules. Simple but consistent rules. If you have a bunch of rules can actually stifle leadership. If I have a bunch of rules in my house, then I am bound to enforce all of these rules. Where I just feel it's just better if you have a few simple rules, but be consistent and don't make a million rules, just a few. Like obey. And if a child does not obey, then there needs to be some consequence. But if you just had that one rule, obey, that also holds you accountable as a mom and a dad. Because maybe a child is not doing what you told them to do because they don't understand what they're supposed to be doing. In order for disobedience to take place, they have to know what they're supposed to do. Okay, but obedience, teach your children to obey. we had a rule with our kids, and again, we had 6 children, and so about, Christmas time or birthdays, people get their gifts, and so now they have all of their own gifts, and we had a very simple rule that if you're not holding it, anybody can play with it. So if you set it down and start playing with something else, then any of your 5 brothers or sisters can play with that, okay? That is a simple rule or a simple policy to help maintain peace in the home.
One of the things to help have a peaceful home as regarding the kids was you never get what you want when you whine. As soon as you start whining for something, that's an automatic no. Because sometimes we give them a toy or give them what they want when they start whining, especially at the store if they're embarrassing us or we want them just to be quiet so we don't look like, a silly parent. We'll give them whatever they want. Well, we just started in our house. You never get what you want, no matter what it is. When you start whining, it's an automatic no.
I feel like sometimes we actually accidentally teach our kids to whine. We train them to whine because that's how they get what they want. And that's the opposite of what we want in our peaceful home. If we want our home to be an enjoyable place, a child should not get what they want when they whine. Last one we'll mention when it comes to, again, discipline and making your house a peaceful place. Make getting along a priority in your home. Make it a priority in your home. My wife already mentioned that, it starts with mom and dad, but sometimes brothers and sisters, they don't get along, do they? Okay? I don't know of many more things more irritating than children arguing in the car, than my kids not getting along in the car. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. So we made that a priority. If they were not getting along in the car, you know what? Then when we got home, they would practice. Well, how would they practice? They would have to sit in the car as we went in the house and we went and did whatever it is we were going to do. They had to practice getting along by sitting in the car. Now, I assume we should give a disclaimer. We didn't leave the windows up on a 90-degree day or anything like that, okay? And we're in a safe neighborhood, but still, they had to practice. You know why?
It didn't happen very often. It happened just like a couple times, because then they realized, like, okay, I don't want to sit in the car when everyone else is going and get a snack or go play outside. And we didn't leave them in there for an hour, half an hour. It was long enough to where they were like, I wish I would have just gotten along and not fussed in the car.
And you know what? You may not like that idea. However, in your home, in your own way, make getting along a priority. Because if you want home to be an enjoyable place, there has to be peace in your home.
The girls were fussing. I had 2 girls close together, a year and a half apart, and they were probably in first and second grade. And they were just having a rough morning. They were fussing at each other, and they share a room, so they were in their room fussing at each other. So finally I just came in and I'm like, look, you 2 need to get along. I had a scrunchie, and so I put a scrunchie around, they were stood next to each other, I put a scrunchie around their ankles, and I'm like, all right, that scrunchie can come off when you guys learn to play and get along and have a good time. And so I walked out of the room and I just stood there just to sort of see what they could do. And I'm telling you, it was silent for like 10 seconds, and then they just burst out laughing, cracking up that we have a crazy mom. What does she think of putting a scrunchie around her ankles, And it ended up being, like, we still talk about that memory, but it switched it around to, I guess you want your kids to realize, like, you can have fun together. You don't need to fuss. You have a built-in playmate, I guess, in your own home. But it doesn't have to, the discipline doesn't have to be so brutal. It could be something as a scrunchie around the ankle, just letting them know, like, hey, I need you guys to get along.
Because getting along is a priority. If we want our home to be an enjoyable place, it needs to be peaceful. Number 2, make home playful. What if, just what if, your home looked less like Pinterest and more like a playground?
It's not like your living room has to look like a regular playground. It can still look nice, and it can still be whatever kind of decor you like, but maybe just you're not as worried as the kids playing it, like they're gonna break something or make something go out of place. Just make it attractive, but functional for your family.
Let's talk about some ways to make home playful. First thing that comes to mind, the first one we'll talk about, is get on the ground with your kids. Have carpet in the living room, and if you don't have carpet, if you have a hardwood floor or some other flooring that makes it uncomfortable to get on the ground,
Throw a blanket.
get a rug, right? Somehow
Blanket
get on the
down.
ground where you can play with your kids.
Another thing would be just invest in whatever you're bringing to your kids. Have it not be something that they do in their bedroom. You know, buying them a TV for their bedroom, buying them things that they can seclude themselves in their room. We want them out in the living room. We want them out in the kitchen. Their bedroom, you know, we have a bed in there. It looks nice, but it's not like the main attraction of the house. We don't want them to spend a lot of time in their room. We want to spend that time in the family area together.
Also, try to look forward to playing with your kids. Your kids want to play with you as a mom or as a dad. And so do your best to think about it throughout the day. Maybe pick something up on the way home, or think of a game that you're going to play when you get home. Try to get your mind, you know, in the right mindset to get home and see your wife and see your kids and play with your kids. You know, honestly, when I was a new dad, when I was in my 20s and my son was 4 or 5, my oldest son, I would honestly look forward to getting home and playing soccer or playing baseball. He was like a playmate of mine, okay? But as I got older and more children came, you know, when I was out in the yard playing soccer with them, that's because I was trying to be a good dad. You know, it wasn't as enjoyable for me in my 30s, and I needed to get kind of mentally prepared, you know, and try to look forward to that when I got home, because my kids want me to play with them. So look forward to playing with your kids, legitimately enjoy it. And sometimes you might need to buy something or purchase something that you can do together that will be fun for you to do with your kids.
Even for moms, just looking forward to baking something in the kitchen or doing something in the kitchen with the girls that they're going to have fun, that they can dive right in and help you get their hands all messy, get a messy counter, do something fun, even in the kitchen, is a good idea because you're doing it together.
You know, one thing that comes to mind as we're talking about this, you know, I appreciate the fact that my wife encouraged me in playing with the kids. You know, guys, you know, we're a little sensitive, and there is such a thing as a male ego, and all it would have taken is one time my wife saying, you know what, you look silly when you do that, or something demeaning, when, you know, I probably did look silly on all fours guarding a sock from a 5-year-old, you know, but she encouraged me to do that, and she allowed me to lead or be silly or have fun or throw a Nerf football in the living room with my kids. She encouraged me to do that, and I appreciate that.
Another thing we've enjoyed at our house, I started probably, I don't even know how many years, at least 20 years ago now, is a family night. I wanted a night where we could all be home. You know, as the kids, as you have children, their schedules get a little busy with summer leagues, baseball, or you got basketball, volleyball, whatever it is. I wanted a night when I knew we would all be together. And so we started family night. For us, it was a Saturday evening. It might be different. Your evenings might look different. But we started a family night, and usually we made homemade pizza, and we either did something at home together, played a game, went to a park. Sometimes you just sit and watch a movie, have homemade pizza, and just relax together. We started that, and that has been one of the most enjoyable, which we still carry on to this day. And our married kids, not every week, but a lot of times they mosey on over on a Saturday because they know we're gonna have pizza and we're just gonna all spend some time together.
Make home peaceful, make home playful, and lastly, make home the place to be. Now this involves investing in your house. I want my kids to want to be home on a summer afternoon or a summer evening. So invest in things that make home an enjoyable place to be. Years ago, when our kids were small, we got a swimming pool. And to be honest, the swimming pool was given to us. It was free. Now, it took work, and our kids still talk about all the work that it took all of us to put that swimming pool in, but we put a pool in. We had a trampoline in the backyard. We put up a zip line in our backyard, a basketball goal, a swing set. You know, invest in making your home the place to be. Like I said at the start, there are a lot of things that we invest in our home where we as adults think, oh, this will make our house look nice to others or make it more valuable. Let's consider what will make our house more enjoyable for those that we love the most, for our kids.
You know, a lot of those things he listed, the basketball hoop, a swing set, the pool, our trampoline, all of those things were free. Sometimes we think we have to spend a lot of money in order to have those things or make our home a fun place to be. And nowadays we got Marketplace, you got all sorts of ways to communicate with people that you're looking for something. Be on the hunt. Think, if I was a kid, what would I want to do? You know, what can I do with this backyard for my kids? And look and find things, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can find ways to maybe spend a little money, or you can find ways that they are free. And sometimes it's going to take a little more work. The pool was a lot of work. The kids had to do a lot of work, a lot of digging, us trying to figure out how do you even install a pool? So there's work behind it. A swing set was free. We had to find a way to go get it, have people help lift it up, bring it to our home. It takes work, but it helps when you have a fun place for your kids where you can spend time together.
How do you make home a more enjoyable place to be? It needs to be peaceful, make it playful, and make it the place to be. As we mentioned earlier, if you have to choose between one of these three, and by the way, I don't believe you do, but if you have to choose between one of these three, make it peaceful.
Definitely.
You know, you can have a swimming pool, you can have a swing set, but if it's not a peaceful place, it's not an enjoyable place. The book of Proverbs, chapter 17, verse 1 says this: "Better is a dry morsel and quietness therewith than a house full of sacrifices with strife." If I can paraphrase that, it's better to eat a piece of bread in peace than a filet mignon with strife. And you know what? We can make our house peaceful. But you know what? I'd rather have a filet mignon in peace. You know, you can have them both. You can make your house the place to be. You can make your house playful and have peace. Let's aim for that as parents. Good luck in making your house, making your home a more enjoyable place to be.